of the shallow layer of the soil and the growth of trees and vegetation, what it produces is a retention of carbon in the soil, which is another advantage of all these systems. So there is a number of technologies of bioinfiltration that we are seeing now being applied worldwide as landscape systems to be able to recharge the aquifer instead of depleting the aquifer. If you think about it, only 5% of the water that comes from the stormwater is filtered into the aquifer in the engineered modern city, while in the natural cycle up to 25% of the water that comes from the rain is infiltrated in the aquifer. So, I mean, I'm just showing you these some of the effects of in the cities that this is going to or is already produced in China in this particular case, because of this very strong policy about the sponge city and the absorption of water in the city soil, using retention points always when possible, or removing asphalt and creating areas where the rain goes down into the shallow layer and possibly into the aquifer. So these are pictures of the same project in China. I think this is in Canada, which is the use of these naturally reed bed systems that purify the surface water. So without necessarily removing all the asphalt, if we are able to create channels where the water is collected, the water is partially purified by this system. So instead of using a sewer that collects the water quickly and takes it to the purifying station, the water is already being purified in the street, and is growing vegetation, and is absorbing carbon, and is producing evapotranspiration. So that kind of landscaping of the city is probably some of the things that we can do in order to recover or re-engage the natural water cycles when we are designing cities. So these are this kind of, they are already, the technology is there, we know how to do it, we just need to implement it. But what you can see is also that water is a kind of, is becoming a desirable urban event. I remember Richard Rogers used to say that as opposed to parks and green cities, that the water was becoming also a source of urban comfort. If we are talking about microclimates, more humidity, less heat island effects, and also a kind of feature that can be actually marketed in order to increase the value of urban land. And you have actually in Seoul one of the most important examples of the retrieval of water in the city. I mean, I don't know whether you know that the Changchun Canal lowered the temperature of this part of the city, I think, in 4 or 5 degrees. The effect is, the climatic effect of the Changchun is enormous. I'm much older than you, and I remember, maybe you were not even born at that time. But the first time I came to Seoul was in 1996. And back then, there was where there is the Changchun River, there was an elevated highway and the whole thing. And I remember my friends told me, oh, this president is gone nuts. is kind of a complete idiot, and it's like, and they told me that he was planning to recover the water, the water, the rivers in the in the city, and he was a kind of, and they were saying, well, he is a kind of developer guy, or I don't know, he's connected to the construction industry and wants to make this kind of big project. And I thought this was going to be a catastrophe. Because I also thought, I mean, being European, this will not work it would not work in Europe, probably not work in the States because of security. I mean, like you would get mugged there. You need a kind of safety of the Asian environment in order to be able to do this kind of thing. But so I thought, this is going to be a disaster. He's going to dig whatever, people are going to be assaulted and it's going to rot, and I thought it was going to be a total disaster, and it's one of the most effective urban operations maybe in Seoul as a kind of model, but you can see how the retrieval of some of these natural water systems can have a very positive effect in cities. And we see that, I mean, this is Singapore, this is the image of of this heavy engineered wastewater, surface water disposal or runoff water disposal, which is basically you channel the water and you get rid of it. This is where now there is the Bishan Ang Mo Kio Park in Singapore, which is this. Sorry, no. I think I missed it. Sorry, I don't have the Bishan Ang Mo Kio Park, the picture of it. But this is what was happening before. Now this is a park. They basically, I think maybe the image is somewhere there. I'll move on. But this is actually Hutan Park in Shanghai, designed by Tubenscape, which is one of the companies that very large urban design landscape company that has become one of the main drivers of the sponge city phenomenon in China. And what is very interesting about this park in Shanghai is that what they created is a park along the river that goes in steps. I think I have a section. These are so every section has a different type of plants that are doing different things. So basically, they pre-treated the water. So they removed basically the waste. The solid waste from the water, so they went through the first stage of water purification, and then what they do is they pump the water from after having got rid of the the solid waste that is dissolved in the water. They go through these steps or pools with different types of plants and sandbeds and things like that, so that by the end of the park, the water can be put back into the river without, I mean, it's still not chlorinated, or is still not subjected to special chemical treatments, but is good enough to be put back into the river system without any problem. So these kind of systems, I think, and this is the Bishan. So this is the picture that should have been next to the to this. So this was before, and this is now. So this is the way maybe cities would treat water in the future. I mean, I don't know what you think about it, but I believe that this re-engagement with the natural hydrological cycles in cities is absolutely necessary and it's going to obviously require the removal of asphalt, and this is a huge potential for architects and urban designers and landscapers to be engaged with in the near future. I think this is the last picture of the session. Yeah. So here we are. Questions or opinions or ideas that this maybe not so easy to. I mean, I think that the it's maybe not so. It's much more concrete. It's much more tangible than air, and maybe not so easy to question. But I don't know. I mean, do you think that that this is nonsense to try? Do you think that we can treat the urban water like this? I mean, but for me the main question is to what degree the scale of population in the large cities can treat water, can re-engage with natural water cycles. So you can do this in a fancy park in Singapore or in a fancy park in Shanghai, but can you actually supply and dispose of water for a population that is maybe, I don't know, 8 million people by using these natural systems? I think that the problem that this faces is a problem of scale. It's like, again, energy. So if you think about using nuclear energy as opposed to petrol, or sustainable energy. So people in Germany, for example, they banned, and now they came back to nuclear energy because they realized that there was no way of doing it, simply because the demand cannot be supplied now by sustainable energy sources. We'll talk tomorrow about the energy situation. But one of the questions, I mean, is the idea from CEDLAC about the water 4.0, in which the water is entirely recycled, is returned to the aquifer, and so on and so forth, is very pretty. But I don't know enough, because I'm not an expert in. I mean, I'm using it as a way of theorizing and maybe finding possibilities for doing architecture or doing urbanism. It would be good to have to discuss these things with experts, for example, from the city of Seoul, who are actually supplying water and getting rid of water. I am pretty sure that they will tell you it's impossible to do it like that in one go. It may be impossible to do it at all because of the scale of the population in Seoul. So, I mean, like right now, the mayor, the city mayor, the Seoul city mayor is very interested in the Han River as to recover the Han River and so on and so forth, and developing. But it's kind of pretty pictures in some ways, because it's not necessarily. I mean, I'm sure some of these things are being considered also, but it's not the infrastructure of the city. It's very difficult to support the infrastructure of the scale of that the city like Seoul requires by using these systems. I mean, I don't know whether this picture of going back to nature is feasible in a very large city like Seoul or London or New York or Los Angeles. What do you think?
To add up a little bit.
Huh?
Yeah, I think it's feasible. I mean, especially, I mean, yes, it's extremely hard, but Korea, the whole nation is quite good at like changing something.
Yeah, I rely on Asians to do this. Chinese is like, we are going to do it, and they will do the sponge cities. in the West, it's impossible.
China, and then we slowly sort of getting aware of how important the flow of the water is. And every summer when we have rainy seasons, the whole Gangnam area it has been horribly flooded.
Really?
Yes.
Every summer happens.
Almost every summer recently.
Oh, I didn't know this. That's super interesting.
The Gangnam area it's all kind of, well, let's say it's an artificial dish.
Yeah.
So the drain system cannot really hold the amount of.
Wow, I didn't know this. That's super interesting.
Yeah. So people are aware of like the surface and the permeable surface or whatever, all the rain systems and the cycle of the water. But it's probably the time of, I don't know, changing the policies and then the urban planning departments, how they can deal, and it's also political as well.
It's every of these things are highly political.
Yes.
But you know, police is city, and politics comes from cities.
Yes.
So air, water, those are the most politically charged issues. This is one of the ideas behind the whole post-human city, is that we understand as politics class struggle or identity struggle, things like that, things that have to do with humans. But what I think is very interesting for architects particularly is that the most politically charged issues now are water, air, energy. Maybe vegetation is not yet as politicized, but you know, Trump is hanging around saying we have to plant 3 million trees in whatever. Now everybody is into planting trees because it's true. Planting trees will help a lot to reduce heat island effects and to produce evapotranspiration and doing this and absorb carbon and so on and so forth. But those issues are political and transcend the human politics. They have to do with the politics of nature. To kind of name, Latour has this book called the Politics of Nature, something like that. But is there something happening in Gangnam? I mean, in terms of urban planning, like are they planning to use this kind of how do they call them? Reed beds. This kind of vegetation channels along the sidewalks or along the road that collect the surface water and treat it. These kind of things. I mean, but I mean, this like it. I mean, Gangnam may also have a problem of water table. Like the water table is high in respect to this kind of landfill area. But I mean, I didn't know that Gangnam has this problem. But that's super interesting because Gangnam is obviously expensive. Yeah, it's the most. I mean, I don't know if it is the most expensive, but one of the most expensive areas in Seoul. And if it has this problem, that is going to go straight into the mind of the most powerful people.
So famous in Houston.
Wow! Send me a picture.
Some guy sitting on his car. It's very famous in Korea.
Wow!
I think instead of making the reed beds like those, I think the picture you saw about London, like a large, not a sewer, but like a water passage underground.
The super sewer.
Yeah. So the Seoul is trying to we are making it for the Gangnam mainly, I think, because of the
Oh.
floods. So I think it is. It looks way larger than the picture from London. I think we have a really big one. But I think it's not completed, but we're doing in progress.
But the London one is actually for wastewater.
Oh.
It looks as if Gangnam is surface water.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
is.
yeah.
But so this is a very interesting case, no? Because if we think about it in terms of the possibility that in a place like Gangnam, that I don't know, the population of Gangnam may be 2 million, I don't know, 1.5 million people or
Yeah.
500,000.
Yeah.
500,000. Okay, so 500,000 people living in that area and having problem of surface water and surface inundation or water level, basically. It may be that there is no alternative but to use that system. I don't know whether Gangnam can reincorporate nature to the degree that would allow to solve the problem without resorting to heavily engineered systems, because the problem is now of such a scale that these type of treatments may be entirely superficial. So I mean this is a question for me. I don't know enough to be able to say, and I didn't know the problem of Gangnam, but that sounds to me like a great project to think about. So what are the possible solutions to re-engage nature in Gangnam, which is a kind of totally artificial land, very densely populated, very densely used. Maybe it's impossible to go back to this kind of idyllic natural stage. And so this is for me the question, which I really like the idea from Sedlak that basically cities should re-engage that, but I don't know whether that will be limited to new construction in the outskirts of the city that can from the beginning be conceived to incorporate all these natural systems, as opposed to using very hardcore engineering to solve problems that don't have a resolution otherwise. That's a great studio subject or thesis subject to treat that problem in Gangnam.
Could that system still work if there's a subway going underneath?
This, no, no, but I mean, but basically, the subway is like a tube. So maybe yes. What I'm saying is that you wouldn't put the reed bed on top of the subway because it will filter the water, and maybe the water will kind of go around the duct and go into the duct. So it may be, depending on, I mean, I don't know, this depends on the specificity of design. If you have the what is called the cut and cover system that happens in Seoul, in all at least the old underground in Seoul is done with this